Hey everybody, this is Micah Lieberman once again coming at you from with a Voices of Scope video. These are fun. These are always, as I say, the best part of my day. And usually they are focused on a specific topic. Jonathan and I are going to take it in a different direction. So this is Dr. Jonathan Crowther. He's head of Operational Design Center at Merck in Darmstadt, Germany. I'm always confused by all the Mercs, Jonathan, but I'm just going to say Germany, KGGA. Is it K? I always forget. Is it KGAA?
KGAA, yeah. And
KG.
then in the
Okay.
US, we're EMD Serono. So in the
EVM.
US
That's
market, that's our
just
big
to
push.
make it more confusing, right?
Yeah.
Yes. But Jonathan used to be at Pfizer. So Jonathan's doing, we just, he's always at Scope Europe. He will be again. He's at Scope US, but also Scope X in May 18th and 19th. You and Prasanna are doing a dinner workshop, very hands-on AI implementation. That's, I think, Monday night, the 18th. You're also doing an interesting talk with a colleague on AI microservices. I wrote that down. So you have a couple things going on. Hopefully, everybody, we'll see you in Boston. We just saw you in Orlando, and then we'll see you in Barcelona. That's all great. All right. Jonathan, you changed jobs. You were with Pfizer for a long time. US, you're now at a German company. I've lived in Germany. I lived in US. There's differences. We're not necessarily only talking about Pfizer and Merck. We're
Yeah.
talking about all of these pharma companies. I talk to everybody, and everybody always thinks the other company over there is doing it differently, has different struggles. True, they have different struggles, but everybody's at a different kind of point in understanding this technology, understanding how to use it, where to use it. So, anyways, I just want you, we're not throwing anybody under the bus. This is about every company we know, but you have an interesting perspective. So, do you want to talk a little bit about somebody who's built these groups in a very exciting time in technology? To talk a little bit about your transition. It's been less than a year.
That's right. Yeah, it's been 8 months. And firstly, just like it's great to catch up with you as well, because it's been a while since we touched base. And it's making my day as well to get your energy, positive energy on a
Thanks, man.
Thursday. But no, I think it's a great point. When we look, so I was in Pfizer for 7, nearly 8 years, and I started as we were bringing this whole insourcing process of site intelligence and feasibility within Pfizer. And so really we started with Excels, like that's where I was.
Yeah.
And we were very quickly learned like, hey, we need to be able to scale. We need to be able to control for, corrupt files and people making ad hoc changes. So then we started to bring in the AI part and machine learning and more technology stack. And it was kind of a place where we started to move. And over the 7 years, then when I finally left Pfizer, I was running the predictive analytics group in our ORS or OAKS team. But what was interesting is now my move to Merck in KGAA Darmstadt or EMD Serrata US, and it's a very similar role. So I've taken on a little bit more responsibility in terms of some study work where we're really hands-on with the studies, because in Pfizer I was kind of removed from that and really focusing on building the technology. What I've done now is that I've come in to a place where I have both, right? So I have people really working on studies and analytics relevant to the study team. And then I have a capabilities team. And what I found is the same thing, that every company has its own flavor, and you made a very good point earlier before we connected that everyone feels like we're behind. So when I was in Pfizer, I was behind on certain things. And we were coming to, and I think was it Biogen, Dave Clifford in Biogen? There was discussions with him, and I was like, wow, this guy, he's so ahead, he's so advanced. Not that he's not, but I was looking up to him going, right, this is some really great stuff. Him and Jane, because I met Jane when we were in Scope EU. And then I moved to Merck and I was like, oh, but they've got a huge amount of access to AI tools that we didn't have in Pfizer.
Right.
So in Pfizer, we had platforms and we had tools built that were really efficient, but we didn't have the same access to some of the AI tools. Now I go to Merck and maybe we're not as strong on the platforms, but the access to AI tooling is way more powerful, right?
Yeah.
So it's incredible to see that difference. So I think what I've learned really is that me and my role, and I think others moving into different roles or similar roles, is we have to take that step back and be a bit more generalist.
Yes.
and take a bigger picture look and say, okay, where are we strong? How do I bring some of those pieces in? So we're trying to do platforms now in Merck within our team. So we're bringing our study teams or our analysts into a central place. But then I also have the power now on the AI tooling to make things even more efficient that I didn't have maybe on the Pfizer side, which was quite interesting. But it would like the big learning curve is that we're all behind somewhere, but we're also, don't forget, we're all ahead in other places. But we forget to see that positive side, you
Yes.
know?
And also they don't always see it. Like when we're at Scope, everybody's sharing.
Yeah,
So you hear from Biogen, you talk to your former buddy, your former colleagues at Pfizer, Merck's there, Novartis, and everybody probably at some point has worked together or
yeah,
been in a working group or whatever, right? And then they're involved in their associations. So they learn this stuff. But if you're really in your own organization and you're busy and you're just building something, you don't always know what the other companies are doing. So and I think that's dangerous sometimes because it could lead to an insecurity complex versus, hey, what you just said is good to hear. Like you're fine, you're strong. It's like your kids.
yeah,
Your kids have different strengths, different weaknesses. It's okay,
exactly.
but you got to work on that. So okay, keep going on this. Is so 7 years ago, Excel.
Yeah,
Now things are moving very fast. When we met at Scope, when you were in the keynote panel with Prasan, I think 2 years ago, or even, it
yeah,
is a different world, right? What's
agreed.
going to be discussed in Boston in May, at ScopeX with Marina and everybody else, it is moving very fast. So you're a technologist, but what you said is interesting. Right now, you have your capabilities team and your kind of your study teams interfacing.
Yes, it
That's
is.
a big deal.
Yeah,
That's an
and
interest.
that's the
So
core.
that place is a very, 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 very dynamic spot, right? So
Yeah,
talk about that more.
that has, and honestly, it's the piece that's yielded probably the biggest success. Because I
Okay.
think what we've done is, and that's why I want to talk about in Scope X about the microservices piece and how do we build platforms which are really connected. Because
Yes.
what we're seeing is that we tend to have this siloing, right? Where we have digital led business solutions.
Yeah.
And what we really need and what accelerates the business and the value in our studies and delivery and being more patient, site centric and removing that
Hmm.
burden is actually connecting and understanding what are the challenges and pain
Yep.
points that we're seeing from the study side. So it's how do we convert to business led digital solutions? So there's room for all of us. We need the digital capabilities and teams, we need the business teams, but it stops being a debate about that's a business problem or that's a technology problem, right? Or digital problem. It's about that's our problem. And then how do we actually have the
Yeah.
right people in the middle to connect both so that you have this conduit between the two teams to solve the problem. And that's really kind of the focus of what we're going to do with our talk on the microservices piece. But I think in the long term, that's really the skill set you're going to see that's changing. So I haven't been in Merck that long, less than a year, as you said. But actually, the rate at which I've been able to accelerate
Yes.
because of the experience I had in the past, and now with the access to these tools, we're just taking off, right? So when I came in, we were originally using Excels and PowerPoints and the usual. Now we're migrating off of that to have much more dynamic reporting, dynamic
Yep.
results, so that as the conversation changes, because as well, like in pharma, you see the conversations are changing. When we used to do recruitment rate analysis and early planning and benchmarking, we turn up with a slide. Here's our planned recruitment rate for this
Yep.
study. This is the duration. This is the site. Now, when we go to governance meetings, it's a completely different conversation. It's what if we do this? What if we do that? So the meeting might take like 6 hours, let's say,
Yes.
and we're going to explore all these different avenues. If we brought the old way to those conversations, we couldn't expand.
No, not only that is that conversation would take weeks and weeks.
Yeah,
Everybody go out, report back. And yeah,
exactly.
bring your
And
new
oh, come back
Excel.
to you.
Yeah, bring
Yeah,
your new
exactly.
PowerPoint. Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do now and leveraging that and having both sides, we're actually able to really bring to a place where we can have a very dynamic conversation with dynamic reports or
Right.
analytics to then guide that conversation. So that's what I'm most excited about going forward now in the Scope X presentations.
Right on. All right, we're already out of time. This is fun, Jonathan. And yeah, I think, in 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, it's going to be a different conversation, you
It's
know?
gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Cool. All right. See you very
Super.
soon. All right,
Cool,
Jonathan,
man.
good to see you,
Thanks
man.
a million.
Thank you.